It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Episode 8 of Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by Odd Shark and Mr. Hammond. The microphones are working.
The microphones are working.
They are working. That's great. Once again, Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by Odd Shark. Check them out, oddshark.com. Dustin Nielsen, Joaquin Gage, and Matt Cassian. Although I almost didn't recognize Mr. Gage in the middle wearing a dress shirt and a tie today. You come from a funeral or what? Please don't say yes. Oh, that would have been awful.
Don't hate the player. Hate the game.
Is there a reason you're dressed up so hard? Did you just do it for today?
I got a new job. I got to look the part now.
Geez, so you So you weren't with us on Monday. So you were taking some tests.
God.
And so you obviously passed the test and got a job because all of a sudden you're wearing a tie and a shirt.
Well, you had 3 chances to pass these tests or whatever. But I was so shocked because I was scared. It was one of those things where I'm scared to even look at the results. So I went home and I did stuff with my kids and everything. And then I sat and I just clicked the computer. And what's funny is my scores, because in accident and death, I got 70%. On life insurance, 73. Seg funds and annuities, I got 80. And then 95 in ethics. You do everything wrong your whole life. You know how to do things right.
Cass, did you take the same tests? Because you guys both kind of are dabbling in the same stuff now.
A whole bunch of different ones. But I understand the stress of taking those, and especially like when your job depends on it. Like where you're going.
Like if you don't pass the test, you're not getting a job. Like
it is brutal. I was sweating so bad in that room, and then I had this girl. Like I was hoping to just sit at a table by myself, but then the room started packing up, and a girl came and sat next to me, and she didn't stop fidgeting through the life insurance test. So I was like, oh God, I just wanted to hold her still because was she
freaking out or
she
what?
was rattling me. She was fine. She came in late, finished the test, and left. I was still battling.
Still trying to grind out a 70% or whatever it was. Yeah. Well,
but all good. All good.
No, congratulations on all your success, buddy.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome. If I ever make any sort of money, I can chat with you two guys about how to use it. That would be excellent. All right, we've got lots to get to around the National Hockey League. Obviously, it's good to have all of us back together. We also, if you're watching the live stream today, we actually have the new green screen in place. And don't touch it. Don't touch it because it might fall down. But there it is. See, we got the logos and everything of all our sponsors: Odd Shark, Sport Clip Haircuts, Popeye's Chicken. And it looks pretty sharp, actually. So this is really starting to come together, boys.
With
that being said, 30 minutes into the stream when it falls down because the tape didn't hold. I'm bleeding.
No, there's not tape. There's something. It's
it's really fancy.
It's really fancy.
Yeah, it's really held up there.
It's French. It's tapé.
What we did was we painted the whole green. We painted the whole brick wall green. That's what we did. So there's no fear of it. No fear of it falling down. So fingers crossed on that front. If it does fall down, we'll blame Hernan, who's here basically just to be blamed.
Well, we blamed him for the microphone, so
that
it's only natural.
Well, I mean, it wasn't your fault for the microphone, Cass. So, I mean, who are we going to blame?
How close were you guys? Like,
we were really close.
I was listening and I was dying laughing.
Like we were really, really close.
I think my favorite part of that, and Gage, I wish you could have seen it, or go watch the streamed archive. Is when Cass wanted to talk, but Bell was talking, and Cass was like he's going to grab the mic from him.
My first instinct is to just take it away, but then I'm like, well,
that's so nice.
Then that makes me the bad guy in this whole relationship, and we already are having relationship problems, so I can't do that.
And you were kind of already the bad guy in that relationship.
It's debatable, but
did you hear that story, Gager? Because I wouldn't mind recapping it.
Are you going to the wedding? Is that what it was?
I don't know. I don't know if I am yet.
Are you going to the wedding? I'm not.
I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like I got a better chance of going to the wedding than you two guys.
I haven't heard anything.
He said so. This just a story. The story in the nutshell is I've been pressuring him for a while to be like, when are you finally going to like do this thing and propose, because he's been talking about it for forever. And so he sent me a text with a picture of the ring on the day he got the ring, and then I just forgot to follow up with him for like a month and a bit on it, and then I finally got back in touch with him, and I'm like, hey man, you engaged yet? And he was like, yeah, like right after I sent you the picture. Thanks for asking. I was like,
you know what? It is kind of weird because to me, how close are you guys? Because I didn't send a picture of the ring to any of my buddies before I asked my.
Well, it's because I've been pressuring him for a long time.
Oh, so he was just kind of sticking it to you. Like,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't get a picture of the ring, Gager?
No, I got nothing.
All right, let's start. The big story in the National Hockey League this week was actually right here in Alberta, where James Neal scores 6 goals. Milan Lucic gets in a fight. The Flames come back, end up losing in overtime to Drew Doughty. We'll talk a little bit about Doughty and Kachuk as well, because that's super fun. But let's start with James Neal. 6 goals in 3 games. The Oilers went out. They managed to somehow move Lucic. They brought back a contract that Calgary didn't want anymore. And I think there's a good debate on, there will be a debate all season. Hell, there will be a debate forever in Calgary and Edmonton markets as to how this deal works itself out. But, I mean, Edmonton wanted a goal scorer. They're getting one at a crazy rate right now. And Calgary wanted a guy who could come in and hit people and fight. And that's what Lucic is kind of doing right now. So, Cass, let's start with you. I mean, both of these teams pleased with how this has worked out so far? Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Calgary may be looking at it going like, oh, I wish we could have got that out of him last year, or maybe a few more goals. But James Neal wouldn't be playing in the position he's playing here.
He's not on a power play with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Right, and he's even on the power play there. He's playing 4th line minutes, maybe occasional 3rd line minutes in Calgary. So when they look at it, I think they go, you know what, we didn't think he was going to have, or he would not have had the same type of success in Calgary. And for Lucic, he's doing what they're asking him to do, which is not to score a ton of goals. It's to be that physical presence and go out. So I don't think Calgary is unhappy with it, but I think it's way easier for everyone in Edmonton and Edmonton fans to look at the trade and just be like, this is awesome.
He's exactly what they want. I mean, this is beyond expectations, right, Gager?
Well, when have we been able to hold something over Calgary in the last 10 years? Like this, I mean, it's only 3 games or whatever, but geez, this is all the memes and things, and even the reporters in Calgary. Like, I think they're getting tired of hearing about it, and
they are starting to get a little tired of hearing about it.
It's definitely one. I always wonder about those the meetings down in Boca Raton. Like, does Holland, like, they go and sit down, and does he come up behind Tree Living and say, "Hey, gotcha"?
Comes up behind him and like covers his eyes as well. Like, guess who?
That was a great trade for both of us, wasn't it? Psych.
Maybe Tree Living's on the old what's it, the
he just got his extension, so he's doing all right.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But
I don't think Calgary's unhappy with it, to be honest. Like they
got what they wanted, right?
Like,
Like, and we'll see how much he contributes. We'll talk a little bit more about Lucic with Keep It or Clip It, which we'll do a little bit later on here in Two Guys and a Goalie for Sport Clips Haircuts. But like James Neal's, I mean, no Edmonton Oiler has ever opened up with 5 goals in the first 3 games, let alone 6 goals in the first 3 games. He had 4 in the last game. But when you watch him play right now and you see the way he's scoring these goals, getting on that top power play unit and basically just being a guy who can go to the net and keep a stick on the ice with McDavid and Draisaitl out there, I think we asked in one of the most recent episodes over under 25 goals for James Neal. Cassie's already got 6, so are you changing your expectations?
Did I say under?
Here?
I can't remember.
One of the guys took under, and one of
I wonder if I took
Gage,
under.
Were you here for that one? Or did we do it? No, I think we did that on Monday. We did that on Monday.
Yeah. Regardless of if I took under, if I took the under, it certainly would take the over now.
Yeah, you would. So you're thinking over 25 now.
Yeah. I have to say, well, he's not going to score at a whatever 300 goal pace, but like, he's going to get over 25 at this. If he continues to play on the power play, he will get over 25. So if I said it before, I was wrong.
Man, it's to be a weekend and you're already apologizing.
I apologize and I stand corrected. If that is, because I can't remember what I said.
Gage, is there any way he doesn't get 25 now?
No, I don't think so. He's going to get lots of playing time. He's going to be playing with different players. When what I really noticed, when he shoots the puck, he has a great ability to get it through defensemen. And the goalie always has to make a save. Like, you don't see him miss the net that much. So by doing that, there's going to be rebounds. He's going to score a lot of goals.
I just think the goalie's typically not even there. Like, he had the one where he pulled it and put it by the guy's shin pad and it goes in, like the pass across. But for most of his goals, they're going to be, and I said it on the pregame show and postgame show, and I've said it on here, he stands in between. If you draw a line from the post to each of the face-off dots, if he stands kind of halfway between those on the power play, he's going to get all kinds of goals.
Yeah,
Just stay right down there in the corner.
One of
The
the two
golden
sides, keep
triangle.
your stick on the ice. Yeah, the golden triangle. Yeah, that's what we want to call
That's
it.
what we call it.
Yeah, that's
what
what
you
we call
dubbed
it. The
it?
golden
Yeah.
triangle. The Gage or golden triangle.
James Neal is a
I
beast
call-
in the Golden Triangle.
Yeah, that was like my Bermuda Triangle. Anyone shot from there, they usually
It's
score.
going in. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Stick with that for a second because he's had a lot of success in tight, right at the side of the net. Gager, can goalies not play that better? Like a few times, I've kind of looked at it and go, okay, well, what are they supposed to do there? Because how is he bearing it from in that? tight?
Yeah, no, he's really good. Like I read an article about him because he wanted to be a goal scorer, and he talks about his first few years in the league and how difficult it was to score on NHL goalies. Like he would see Medano come down, rip at shelf, and then he'd try the same thing, and like Belfour or whoever was playing wouldn't even move. I think he's just he's worked so hard to put the puck in places on goalies where he knows that if they don't do something special, it's going to go in. Some guys just shoot it just to shoot it, but there's actually a purpose when he shoots the puck.
You shoot with purpose, and you have a better chance at just flipping it on net and hoping it goes in.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a trade that is obviously looking good for Ken Holland right now. We were texting about it a little bit earlier. Trades that GMs should have been fired for. Like, not very often, well, never. Never do you see a guy make a trade and the next day he gets fired. The closest we probably have is Chiarelli signing Kassian into a 3-year deal and getting canned a few days later. Okay, so we talked about bringing one in. I'm going to start, and this goes back to my childhood, basically, because I'll never get over this deal. And I thought Réjean Houle should have been fired the moment he traded Patrick Waugh. He'd only been on the job for like 40 days. He'd already, I think he had fired Jacques Demers, or maybe they'd all been cleaned out. And then they brought in Mario Tremblay, who apparently was a roommate, Patrick Waugh, in Montreal when they played together. But there was some animosity there. They leave Patrick Waugh in for 9. He walks off, tells the president, I think Ronald Corey, that I'm done. I'm not playing another game here. To me, you need to handle that situation better. This is one game. This is a guy who's already brought you 2 Stanley Cups, would go on to win multiple Stanley Cups elsewhere. And I'm not even looking at the return. Like, they got the Jocelyn Thibault, Martin Rucinski. I mean, the return, they definitely could have done better. But the way you handle that situation, like Patrick Waugh comes off the ice, and that's it. You're not even going to try to make that a better situation with how important he is. I'll never understand it for the life of me. It was garbage, and I would have canned him right away.
Yeah, that was a testosterone fight.
100%, right?
Yeah.
Panicked.
Tremblay. So I played for Tremblay, assistant coach in Minnesota.
Okay.
And he was because I had a lot of healthy scratches. So I got bag skated after pregame skates. I got a lot of bag skates after practice, which meant a lot of work. And when it was Mario that was on the ice, it was the worst. Like, not in a horrible way, but it was tough.
There was no let up.
He was the worst for getting back. Like, it was hard. Like, you hate everything. At the end of it, you're just like, just let me go home, or let me go back to the hotel. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to eat. I just want to go lay in bed. But he would get off after those skates and go smoke a couple cigarettes and then hop on the treadmill for like an hour. That was
just hit the treadmill hard.
Oh, yeah. Every morning you'd see him, and then he'd take his breaks. Like, he'd take a break in the middle of his treadmill. So he'd get off, leave the treadmill running, and go walk off somewhere, and you knew he was going to hack a dart.
And then he'd come back and
Get
just hop
back right on the treadmill.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a commitment.
It
That's a
is
commitment to smoking.
That's how you know he's an intense individual. To go to the Patrick Roy story.
I just don't know how you brought him in, I think, to coach the team like 2 months earlier. If I'm the GM and Patrick Waugh comes to me and says, well, if he would have said me or him, I would have fired Mario Tremblay and said, I'll bring somebody else in. So for me, it's always, I was in grade 9. One of my buddies who'd gone home, because there's no internet then. So one of my buddies who'd gone home for lunch came back and was like, Nielsen, the Habs traded Patrick Waugh. And I was in grade 9. And maybe this is wrong. Maybe I was too old, but I started crying. And I was in grade. Is that too old to cry over a hockey trade? Grade 9,
No.
You don't think?
No.
It's like 13, 14. I guess I look back on it now. It wasn't that embarrassing, but I was bloody pissed off. So that's my answer. What about you guys? What about a GM who should have been fired immediately after making a trade?
Well, I didn't think of one immediate. I couldn't think of anyone immediate. I was trying to think of a bad one that's
Like one that was so bad.
well, just recently that
Yeah.
I think could be really bad for the Coyotes. Just watching that Max Domi and Galchenyuk trade.
Yeah,
like
and Galchenyuk's already gone.
Yeah, that's a really bad trade because just watching Domi against the Leafs the other night, like he was the catalyst in that victory and got everyone fired up and all over all the Leafs. Like that's a really bad trade. I think that could be a feather in the
But
cap.
the analytics don't say it is.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez.
The analytics say that he's a. No.
That's a good chirp.
The analytics are they're valuable, but they tell what happened. They help you explain what happened. I don't think they necessarily predict the go forward always.
That's what people try to. I mean, that's the point of them, though,
They're
right?
just to try to predict the go forward, but I don't think they're good for predicting the go forward. Like to an extent, they are. They help you analyze what happened, which will help you then make decisions on it. They're definitely not the be all end all. It's too fluid a game. Too many, like the physics. There's too much physics. There's too much happening. We can talk about that another day.
I want to know who you're trading.
Well, there's the easy one. Being in Edmonton, no, I was going to say Adam Hall for Taylor Hall for Adam Larson.
Yeah.
Like, and Larson is a wonderful player. Like when he got hurt here and he broke or fractured his fibula, I was just like, oh man, like that was. I think the city there was a collective groan knowing that your top pairing shutdown D was out. Like he's a great defenseman. I love the edge to his game, but for Taylor Hall, not straight up. That was one. The other one I'm going to go back a couple years, and we don't really talk about it, and I think it's because it didn't take place in Canada. Chuck Fletcher trading Brent Burns.
Oh, that's a good one for what was it?
Charlie Coyle, Setaguchi, and I think a pick.
Yeah, had Setaguchi scored 30?
He had at that point,
but
he went downhill quick. Like he didn't after that. It didn't have a ton of success in Minnesota. Charlie Coyle again, is like he's a decent player. But I look at that and I go like, man, if you could go back and just rewind that. And for those that don't know, because I played with Burnsy, he loved Minnesota.
Oh, really?
Loved Minnesota, loved the team, loved the organization, loved the cities. He had a zookeeper that was at his house. He had about 300 snakes and a flying squirrel, a whole sled dog team of huskies, like 9 huskies. He had 9 full sled team.
He just kept them at his place?
Yeah, and he had a zookeeper that came in like when he was on the road, like to help take care of the animals. I'll show you a picture. I got a picture of me with one of his snakes.
No way.
Yeah.
So he is the Sasquatch.
Oh yeah.
What would he do with the sled dogs?
Well, he just kept them as dogs, like they're his pets.
Oh, but he wouldn't take them. He wouldn't go out.
I actually don't know if he did or not.
Yeah.
But he had 9. I think it was 9 of them.
Well, that's a full team.
It is a full team.
So that's why I wonder if he was running a team.
Actually did it. Yeah. But I just, he was a guy to me who was completely bought into the organization as a whole. Like he had a tattoo. I don't know if he still has this. He had a lot of tattoos, but he has a tattoo of of the Wild logo. Like he loved the organization. I don't know if he still has it. I haven't asked him. But he would have been there. He would have been there, and he would have played his whole career.
So what happened there?
They traded him.
That was it, though. There was no interior beef or anything.
Not that I am aware of. Definitely not with any of the players on the team. Like Burnsy he's a great teammate. You have to be careful when he's around because he might come up and throw you in a chokehold and choke you out.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of guy that you're just standing there talking to someone, and all of a sudden you're on the ground and it's someone trying to render you unconscious, and it's it's him sitting there laughing.
He takes it too far, probably a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. But it's fun because then you can do the same thing to him, right? So it's if he's just standing there, you do
a lot of people do. I mean, you've got the size to do that to him, but a lot of people probably aren't sneaking up behind him.
Oh no, not because he'll take it too far. I mean, that's what you have to know. But for me, it's I can give it right back. So
you're right though. That is a trade that where would the Minnesota Wild be? And they had some pretty good teams actually after they after he left. Teams. Where would they be if?
Oh, they would have had 2 guys.
You think if they have Sutter, like if they still get Sutter and Parise, and you have Burns on the back end, can you imagine Burns playing with Sutter?
Had they converted Burns?
Can you imagine that?
Had they converted Burns to a D-man there already?
Well, he started his career as a D-man, and then Lemaire made him tried to make him a forward, which they never should have done, and then he moved back to D.
Why did they do that?
Well, because it's Jacques Lemaire, and so
it's changing the game.
But I mean, you look at that and you go, where would they have been? Just to go to that Sutter. I know we didn't. I mean, you have Sutter, who's still, in my opinion, one of the most underrated defensemen in the league.
Steady.
Plays in all situations. Plays hurt. It doesn't get hurt very often. When he does, he still manages to squeak through. Chips away at points. Good in the power play. Good in the power. Just so steady out there. If you put a guy like that with Burns, that's that offensive.
You play him 32 minutes.
Oh, you play those guys, 2 guys, 32 minutes, and you light people up. It would have been that whole team, and even I think the whole division would have been completely different.
I still can't believe that he had 9 sled dogs, like Huskies.
Yeah, I don't know if they were actual sled dogs, but they're 9 Huskies.
He must have had an acreage, hey?
Well, it's like a big piece of property.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, like he had a zookeeper to come in and help out because he actually had like 200 snakes and a flying squirrel.
That's a weird dude.
Yeah. Well, no, he was. I mean, he's eccentric, but he was
an animal lover.
Yeah, he loved animals.
Animal lover.
No, he's. I cannot say anything negative about him.
Just a good guy.
He's an awesome guy.
That's great to know.
Yeah, but a lot of animals.
Still doesn't make sense that they traded him.
No.
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 And Charlie, you're right.
that's not
Charlie
mine,
Coyle
yeah.
ended up being a pretty decent player.
He's
but
a decent player,
yeah,
but
that didn't
I
work out
mean,
too well.
yeah, if you go Charlie Coyle would you make that trade now? Charlie Coyle for like
Burns?
For Burns, or if that happened, would you be firing the GM that traded Burns?
If you knew what ended up happening with Brent Burns, then yeah, you probably would have fired him right away.
And wasn't it like Setaguchi? Who did he play with? He played with Thornton, right?
He was with I think the year that he had 30. I'll try to bring
He was
it up.
with Thornton. Was he with Thornton and
I
Marleau
think he was
that year?
playing with Thornton.
Yeah, because and who was Chichu was with
No,
Thornton.
that was the year before.
Yeah, but
Chichu
then
was the
Chichu got
year
50 with
before.
him.
Chichu got 50, and then Setaguchi went and scored a lot. And then he left and didn't do anything. Like Thornton was.
Here's Setaguchi. So Setaguchi had 31 and 81, 31 goals, and then the next 2 years he had 20 and 22, and that's when he was traded.
Yeah.
So he had scored
He had
30 in the
sc-
past,
yeah.
and he had had 23 years in a row, but he
That's
went on
pretty
to Minnesota, scored 19 goals in 69 games, and then never hit more than 15 again. So, yeah, it worked out well for the San Jose Sharks. Actually, speaking of San Jose, they're off to a 0-4 start, and they go and bring back Patrick Marleau. Is this reek of desperation here, or is this something that you think actually helps the Sharks right now?
I just thought it was normal. He was going back there
Yeah.
anyway.
You thought,
So-
well, it seemed like he wanted to,
Yeah.
but they hadn't made room for him yet.
No, that's where he should probably play his last year.
Yeah,
shouldn't it?
he still had success last year in Toronto. It's not like he isn't capable of producing offense.
He could probably score 15 goals.
I bet he does.
But
Yeah.
does it look bad that they're 0-3 and decide
And
to
they
bring him
do-
back
yeah.
at that point? It seems a little weird to me.
It doesn't look great, but
If they're 3-0, are they signing Patrick Marleau
No.
right now? Even though I
No,
think they probably
maybe.
should have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting start. That brings us to our Popeyes chicken poll question. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. Which start is the most surprising? You've got the Oilers at 3-0. You've got Buffalo at 3-0-1. They've got 7 of a possible 8 points. You've got the Carolina Hurricanes at 4-0. So 3 positive starts. And then I do have San Jose at 0-4 as one of your options on the Popeyes chicken poll question. And we'll get an update from Hernan in a second on what it's looking like on Twitter. But what would be your answer there? Most surprising start so far in the league?
It's got to be the Oilers. I think. Well, didn't Buffalo have a good start last year too? But just more so the Oilers because of the way they've won some games. I know. Just from personal experience, Cass, you could probably say when you're on a good team, it's not like you win. You're blowing out teams 5-6-1. You're battling. You're finding ways to win. A lot of times it's tied at the end, and you're getting a goal in the last couple minutes of the game and holding in the fort down and winning that game. And that's that kind of culture. That kind of repetitive attitude of battling game in, game out, and getting those wins creates a winning culture and hopefully a championship culture. But that's how I was when I played anyway.
Cass?
I'm going to the 0-4 San Jose as being the most surprising. Like Edmonton 3-0, it's a pleasant surprise, but it's not the most surprising to me because I look at their team and I go, you have McDavid and Draisaitl. If those guys get on a heater, you can string wins together as long as everyone else kind of holds the fort down, and that's really what's happened. Buffalo's got a pretty good team, young team. Carolina, they have a really good defensive core still.
Yeah, it's a solid.
Even
group.
with trading Falk, like they have a really good defensive core, and everything for them flows out from there. So same thing. I'm not overly it's surprising that they're 4-0, but it's not overly surprising to me. San Jose going 0-4 to start the year when a lot of us had picked them, finishing second or third in the division,
which they still might.
and being a really solid team. That is the surprising one to me, the most surprising.
I never thought they'd do well just because the way Jones
I was
played.
going to say, do you like Jones?
No, well, I do, but not the past year. And then Pavelski, that's just it's too big a hole to try to fill. I think.
Maybe to win the division, go deep in the playoffs. Like I didn't have them picked for that because I think losing Pavelski hurts them a lot as well. But I still thought they'd be a decent team in the division. Like you have Burns and Carlson, you basically, an understandable Carlson, like having a kid, great, wonderful actually, fantastic, and misses a game or two because of that. But you can have Burns or Carlson on the ice for the entirety of the game. I don't know.
That is a pretty big advantage to have. And throwing Marc-Edouard Vlasic as well.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
pretty damn solid in his own right. Hernan, what are the results like on the Twitter poll right now for this question?
Yeah, 245 votes in. San Jose's leading at 57%. Oilers at 3-0 at 27%. Carolina, Buffalo tied at 8% for third.
Hey, you guys got the top
245 people.
Good work, guys.
But 245 people. That's
Why-
amazing.
My mom voted like 200 times. Holy smokes.
It's not bad. Buffalo looks really good. Rasmus Dahlin, 7 points in 4 games. This dude is 19 years old. It's his handle and how he can control the game at 19
That was pretty
is ridiculous.
I took him late in my office box pool, which there's a couple things that hurt me. Malkin's really hurt me.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
him.
it screws you there.
That really, really hurts.
In a box pool, that almost kills you.
That could. It has the
Yeah.
potential to kill you. But on the plus side, I had Dahlin as like one of the late boxes,
Yeah.
like where there's a lot of no-name guys in it, and he was in there, so I'm pretty happy with it.
That worked out well.
That one's worked out well.
Hernan, are we going to connect with Chris Abbott from Oddshark? Yeah, he's working on Chris Abbott from Oddshark right now. We'll go there. We'll talk about early season betting and what to look for. He'll obviously give us a game of the week as well that we can take a look at. Oddshark is the presenting sponsor of Two Guys and a Goalie with myself, Dustin Nielsen, and Joaquin Gage and Matt Kassian. A few other things that we will still get to on the podcast. We're going to talk about the new captain of the Vancouver Canucks. One of Gager's favorites, Carter Hart, has a shutout already under his belt as well. So there's still lots to get to on the podcast today. And we're going to connect with Chris Abbott from Oddshark. He gave us, last week when we chatted with Abbott, we said, what's your game of the week? And he said, I might look at the over in that Montreal Toronto game. And it ended up coming in. That was perfect. So let's bring in, before we bring Chris Abbott in, hey, Hernan, you're going to have to retape the top corner of the green screen over here.
Oh,
It
no.
looks like it's about to fall down, so you might want to hop on that right away. But let's bring in Chris Abbott from Oddshark. Chris, you nailed the over in the Leafs Habs. Thank you very much for that.
No worries. I think I might have told you that I like Montreal to win that game, or at least plus 1.5 too. So I know I bet it.
Let's
I'm
not get
sure I
carried
told you
away,
guys,
Chris.
but
Let's not get carried away. We're trying to give you some credit already.
I appreciate it. Hey, Gage, how'd the job interview go this morning, bud? You're looking pretty sharp there.
Oh yeah, buddy. It's I've gone over the first hurdle so far. So thanks for asking, man. These guys, you're great. Jeez.
The problem is that he only has one shirt and tie.
Hey, it's a nice shirt, though.
It is
a nice shirt.
Yeah.
It is a nice shirt. Is this a new shirt?
No, this is actually quite old.
He's got the old initials stitched into it.
It's amazing where you
it's
can find it
nice.
winners. They even have my initials on it.
All right, Chris. I want to get your thoughts on early season betting and the example being, and I know people will listen to this on Friday or Saturday as well for some reason, but like for example tonight, the Edmonton Oilers are 3-0. They're going up against New Jersey, who is 0-3. They've been outscored 16-2 since taking a 4-0 lead against Winnipeg. They played last night. They're coming home, and New Jersey's still the favorite over the Oilers. So, like to me, that seems like something's off there. So, does it take a while for season results to impact betting, and can you take advantage of that by checking it out at Oddshark?
Yeah, Dustin, you're right on, nail on the head, man. That's completely asinine. So I bet the Oilers plus 140 in Brooklyn the other night, and that, never a question in that game. And they're the underdog tonight too at even money, or about plus 105. And I actually gave that out on our Guys and Bet show as one of my plays for tonight. And yeah, I just think it's exactly what you said. It's based upon last year and the year before's results. There was a bit of hype around New Jersey coming into the year, but they haven't looked good. It looks like Mackenzie Blackwood will start on the second half of a back-to-back tonight. New Jersey's got the worst penalty kill in the league against a red-hot offense. So, everything lines up for the Oilers, who are, I know it's still early, but they're the second most profitable team to bet on in the league right now.
That's weird to say.
That's funny.
That's weird to say. Cass, what about playing in back-to-backs? I mean, is it? We always talk about it's a tough game for one team
I
being
think for the
back-to-back.
goalies,
For the goalies,
I think
yeah.
for the goalies, it's more, or seems to be more of an issue. It shouldn't be. Like changing, if you change time zones or have a significant time zone change, that's where it can mess with you a little bit. But beyond that, I don't think it should be that much.
You don't get many back-to-backs from time zone change. Like they usually try to keep it sort of. And going from, they played Philly last night. They're coming back to Jersey. So, and Gage, goalies usually don't play back-to-back anymore. It's just not in good enough shape, I guess.
No, we're one and done.
Chris, what about for you? Biggest storylines here in the early parts of the season. Like we were talking about it earlier with our Popeyes poll question. The Oilers 3-0, Buffalo 3-0-1, Carolina 4-0, San Jose is 0-4. What's jumping off the page for you here in the early parts of the season?
Yeah, so from a betting perspective, guys, a lot of the exact same things that you're talking about. Like you didn't mention your buddy Dallas Eakins and the Anaheim
Yes,
Ducks as
that's
well,
right.
3-0.
Yes.
They go into Pittsburgh as an underdog tonight. That was another play that I made. They've allowed 1 goal each game. Pittsburgh's got $13 million on injury reserve right now. Matt Murray's going to get his 4th start. He hasn't looked exactly wonderful, and I know a lot of that has to do with his injury trouble. And then you've got San Jose going into Chicago at a game that's almost a pick-em. And again, another one that was a sweatless bet the other night was the Predators -1.5 against San Jose. I looked at San Jose's lineup and I was like, I don't know many of these guys. Like I heard you guys talking about it. You lose Joe Pavelski there out of the middle. Joe Thornton's not getting any younger. By the way, you were talking about some of the worst trades. Letting Joe Thornton go and Tyler Seguin go as early as Boston did are some of the worst trades.
Yeah. Joe Thornton one wasn't very good. Yeah, you're right.
Who made those trades?
Yeah. Peter Chiarelli made the Seguin deal. Yep. Yeah, that was not a good look.
No.
So I'm with all of those. The same thing. Like Chicago is a slight favorite tonight, but again, a lot of people look at their start to the year last year wasn't very good. They finished really strong, and some of their young guys are super exciting. So I'm going to bet on the Hawks tonight too. And I do want to get one other trade that the Boston Bruins made that is among one of the worst in NHL history. Except it was them getting a player, Cam Neely, and a first for Dennis Peterson in '86. That was one of the worst trades in hockey history too.
Yeah, Barry Peterson. Wasn't it Barry Peterson?
Barry, Dennis,
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, well, I guess
Barry,
here's the thing. It didn't matter. That's how bad that deal was. That deal was absolutely atrocious. Last week, like we said, you hit the nail on the head with Toronto and Montreal. Is there another game that, and we know we're a little bit away from it, but there's another game that you're really keeping your eye on this week?
Yeah, it's tough. So if I look ahead to Saturday, you've got Edmonton at MSG in the afternoon. That one, I'll see what the line is like. Like I said, if the Oilers keep on rolling, I'm really going to like that there. And Nashville at Los Angeles, I'll look at an over because it has not been good for Jonathan Quick to start. And what else? Let's see if I can find something quick. You're looking for an underdog, Toronto going into Detroit. They've had trouble with the Red Wings over the years. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'd take a look at, Detroit +1.5 in that game. That could be another game where the backup starts as well. So that'd be something to keep an eye on.
And you're pretty confident picking against the Leafs in this country. Good on you, Chris Abbott. That's a job well done, man. Thanks a lot for joining us once again, buddy.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great week.
There you go. That's Chris Abbott from Oddshark. He was talking about the afternoon game there. How much let's talk about afternoon games for a second.
I just got a chill down my spine when he said that was an afternoon game. I was like, oh, God, here we go.
It's bad news, right?
They were
Yeah.
good last year.
Were they?
Oilers, yeah, they were decent.
I don't know. This
Couple of years ago, they were awful.
Most years,
Maybe it's
historically,
blending.
they've been bad. Last year, they actually were decent. I can't remember what the record is, but it was okay this year.
How'd you
Or
guys
last year.
like playing?
I hated them.
You hated them?
I didn't
Yeah.
like them. It throws your whole day off.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. It's not like I know what to do most times, but I really was really lost because I liked. Did you like pregame skates?
I like pregame skates where I didn't have to take a hard stride, like where I would no sweat. Like I like feeling my edges and I like touching the puck. So it's like if I went and glided around and made a couple passes and shot like 3 or 4 times and then did a little bit of stick handling, got off. That's perfect.
Oh, really?
That was it.
I liked structure. I liked like some 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, like flow drills. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe a quick power play. Just 5 guys against the goalie. They move it around, shoot, and then that's it. So it was like 20 minutes. But I found that got me more prepared, mostly just to get my gear kind of broken into a little bit. It felt better that evening. And then on the for the afternoon games, you
just sleep in, or what do you do?
No, well, you didn't want to, but then I'd feel so exhausted by the time I got to the game. But it just made me feel completely different. I hate the fact that they have afternoon games in the playoffs. I think you're not getting the best value of of the players because they're just not used to doing it. I know they're professional; they should be doing it. But
Yeah, but in the playoffs, you're right. You want them at your top level.
It's a change of routine.
Yeah, I want my hockey to be at the top level as possible. Give them the best chance.
Cass, would you get up like super early and then still fit in a nap before an afternoon game?
Some
or not?
guys would. I would.
They would?
I would. Some guys would do that. I couldn't. I didn't like it. I didn't like trying to nap like that. I just stayed up, and I was probably healthy scratched anyways for most of them. So it didn't really matter.
It doesn't matter to you. You're just done.
This means I get someone to give me breakfast.
Yeah. So that's you got to get up for that, I guess. All right, a couple other things to get to. The new captain of the Vancouver Canucks, Bo Horvat. I think he was a popular choice for most people. Cass, your thoughts on him?
He's a good choice.
Yeah?
He's a great choice, actually. So here's the thing, and I don't know. I mean, I know the answer to this. Maybe our listeners do. If you didn't know the age of Bo Horvat, like how old he actually is, how old do you think he is?
Like 27.
Yeah.
28.
28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not.
What is he? 21.
He's like 23, 24 now. I think 24. Like to me. He is from both a playing style and then from apparently how he is in the dressing room. He is a guy that is mature, but beyond what would typically be.
Like when you watch him play the game, you're like, that's not.
That's a mature player that understands the game, that understands the flow of the game on the ice, that seems to have pretty good control emotionally of himself. And I don't know. I've loved him as a player for the last couple of years. Like he's pretty fun to watch. He's always been from a fantasy hockey standpoint, he's always been one of my sleeper picks, like because people don't take him early, but he's a really great pick. And I know there's been some injuries in the past or a few, but he is a really, really good player. And again, report wise, from my understanding, is just solid room guy too. So I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, how perfect is the situation do you think, Gage, with the fact that he's a little bit older than the Bessers, the Pedersons, the Quinn Hughes, but he's still in that group, and those guys all have other purposes. Besser's supposed to score goals. Pederson's supposed to be their top end scorer, and I'm sure he will be. And Quinn Hughes, you see the goal Quinn Hughes scored last night. He's an absolute stud in the making. So Horvat, that's the purpose that he needs to fill. How nice does that gel for a group, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, for your captain to have that role where he can do everything, right? He encompasses everything that all those players kind of have. Maybe he's not as gifted as a Pedersen, like scoring wise, but he does score goals too, right? I think the Sedins really made a difference with him too. Just being around those two and see, like I distinctly remember when he was staying for the year and the Sedins were the first ones over there to congratulate him. And you could see, and when they retired, I remember looking at his face and he was really shooken up.
He was rattled.
Yeah, because he did, like, it's like anything. Those are the guys he grew up with. And from all accounts, and I have old friends in Sweden talk about the Sedin brothers, and they're great people. And they're great hockey players, but they're better people than they are hockey players.
And just think of how much he would have learned from them, just from a leadership standpoint, from let's call it a professional conduct standpoint. Like, I mean, how many times were we talking about issues? Well, let me back up a little bit. Vancouver had, when I played, I mean, we called them a team of nerds. Like we there was a lot of guys we didn't like on the team, like just from a play style, and not from they were bad people, but they just drove us nuts. But about the Sedins in particular, like, have you guys ever heard anyone say anything negative about them?
Not a thing, ever.
No.
I have.
Okay,
but it's a funny story. But
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so something funny, but something, let's call it significant, that would impact them as leaders or as people in the dressing room. And I think when you see guys like that, and Daniel Alfredsson was the same way. It's you only had a year with them in Ottawa, but you can see how that leadership permeates. And I think if players spend a long enough time underneath it, just like anything, it's like having a business mentor or any kind of work mentor or just a life mentor. Like it rubs off on you, and you see how they approach it. And I think for Horvat, he's got the perfect personality to do it. Again, I look up and down their lineup, and I go, this is the perfect guy for this role, for this position. Gage, I liked what you said about kind of bridging the gap between the two generations. I think he definitely does that. So I mean, if I'm a Vancouver fan, I'm thrilled with him being named captain.
Gager, can you tell the Sedin story? Who doesn't like him, or is that one that you can't say?
No, it was I played with a Swedish guy that grew up with them, in
He
Sweden.
was just jealous.
Yeah. No. And he said because I don't know if you've ever been around twins before. Like
Oh, not enough.
they they fight, and when they fight, it gets pretty bad. But I guess he said they were fighting on, like they were losing, and they were yelling at each other, and they were playing junior in Sweden, and one of them got on the bus. I don't know which one, but the one gets on, and they still start yelling at each other, and he said he was translating what they were saying. He goes, and I think it was Daniel said to Henrik, he goes, "I hate you. I hate you. I hate your face." And then and then everyone on the bus started dying laughing because he looks the same. So, yeah, that was at least, but he had some good stories about those guys too.
All right, let's go with keep it or clip it for Sport Clips haircuts. A few different topics that we will hit on here. They're actually, if you're going to be in the Edmonton area, if you're listening to this in Edmonton, you're watching the stream in Edmonton, they will have the Grey Cup at their store in Ellerslie. And Cass, aren't you going? You're going to go get that mop taken care of up top,
I got to
aren't
get
you?
it cleaned up. You're going to see like grandma and grandpa and
Oh, for Thanksgiving? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, and my grandpa. So grandpa, I don't know. We can talk about this another time. So he's got a like a gold world championship hockey medal.
Okay.
Grandpa Ed. Yeah, it's really cool. But he will not, like, if he's the type of guy. So after his hockey career, ran from Vegreville, it's a small town, ran the menswear store there. So 2 things that he will always comment on still to this day: my clothing and my hair.
So you have to be dressed really nicely.
Unless I'm like wearing like a nice like black suit.
Yeah.
It's like he will comment on how I like they don't have. I'm not dressed well.
Really?
Yeah, not terrible. Like he won't do that one all the time, but he'll basically tell me like I look like a bum.
So you're gonna go to Sport
Let's
Clips and
translate.
get it a little bit taken off.
Yeah, and then on the hair stuff, he'll make fun of. And even if I get my hair cut, then he'll find something about it that needs to be corrected or better
Really?
or something. Yeah.
Well, not at Sport Clips.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna like it.
Yeah, he will have no choice but to be like, he will accept me. He will accept me as a man, and I tell me he's proud of me.
Are you hosting Thanksgiving?
Not this year. We rotate. So
nice.
I'll be at my parents' place this year. Last year I think it was at mine.
Gage, are you hosting?
No, it's at my father-in-law's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The guy you saved.
The guy said.
Yeah.
You're
No,
right.
that's not bad. I am hosting, which we'll see how
What
that
are you
goes.
eating?
Turkey.
Yeah.
Hey,
But you know
just-
what?
just
We
some
also make
advice
a ham,
on the
and I'm not a
turkey?
fan of that.
And the turkey, cook it as low as your oven goes. If you can get it to like 160, 170
The entire time?
the entire time. Just you have to cook it for way longer.
Well, however, I don't want to commit
Deep
the
fry.
entire day to.
Well, you don't have to do anything. You just put it in the oven and you turn the temperature on. You just do it in the morning.
Yeah, but then we got to be up. We got to be active in the morning. We got to have everything going together.
What? So you're gonna sleep till like 1 in the afternoon?
No, we don't do that anymore. That's not allowed.
Yeah.
We've got this recipe book that we follow every year, step for step on the turkey.
I'm telling you, man.
Really? So like 8 hours?
Yeah, like at 170.
Really?
Yeah, 175.
Does it still
Because
get
you
nice
won't-
and
the
brown
science,
and
the
everything?
science. Well, then at the end, what you do at the end is then you baste it with butter, and then you turn it up like to like broil, and then you crisp the outside, so the outside gets nice and brown. But that way, you retain all the moisture inside the turkey, and it doesn't dry out.
Do you guys do 2 meats? You do turkey and ham?
Depends on how many people. Usually just one. Usually
Yeah.
turkey. But I'm telling you, man.
You know
Cook
what?
'em
Maybe
low and
maybe
slow.
we'll give it a
Low
go.
and slow on
Do you
the
still
turkey.
cover the entire thing?
You
you put,
can, yeah, you can cover it. Put a little bit of water or the chicken stock in the bottom of the pan, but you won't. You'll find like you won't get drippings. Like stuff won't drip out of it because you're not. Everything's staying inside the turkey.
Gager, what about you? You got any special Thanksgiving Day recipes or what?
I got a salad that I make, and then but a lot of times, well, not lots, but I like the deep fried turkey.
Oh, those are. Yeah, if you do those, though,
45
that's
minutes,
different.
boom, done.
Really?
Yeah.
But then you need deep fryer.
Yeah, you just go to our Canadian Tire.
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta do those
that's where we
outside,
always
though.
used to see each other.
You got to do those outside.
You got to do it
though.
outside?
Deep frying, like I mean,
Oh, this seems like way too much work.
well, the
No.
explosive. I mean, like you
Drop
can
it
see
in frozen. It's
Drop it in
hilarious.
frozen. Yeah, it's really funny. Drop it in frozen and make sure there's lots of oil in there.
That'll go over very well.
That'll when the oil goes over and hits the flame, everything goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Enjoy
Thanksgiving.
it. Enjoy your time with family. All right. Sport Clips Haircuts, home of the MVP experience. Keep it or clip it. Let's go. We've got a lot of hockey questions, some non-hockey questions as well. Milan Lucic will make the Calgary Flames more difficult to beat in the postseason. Keep it or clip it.
Then James Neal, like, is that
Yeah, more valuable, or like more difficult as a team this year as opposed to last year.
You know what? I'm gonna say keep it. I'm gonna say keep it. The trade was way better for the Oilers. They got way more out of it, but it's still not a bad optically, it may look bad. I don't think it's a terrible trade.
So you think they're a tougher out this year?
I think they're a tougher team, and I think having a little bit of that pushback, even if it's just a little bit, would help them in the playoffs or will help them in the playoffs. So yes, keep it. They will be more difficult to beat.
Gager, keep it or clip it?
Yeah, keep it. The way, I mean, Tkachuk's even a bigger ass out there with Luch. I think he even, not that he didn't have the testicular fortitude to do some of the stuff he does, but players go out of their way to hit him just because, even if he hasn't done anything to them. So it just it makes him be more of a pest, and just another thing you have to worry about with Luch.
All right, number 2, Pavel Bure is the best player in Vancouver Canucks history. Keep it or clip it.
Cass, you got to go. I got to think about that.
This is a tough one because Linden was really good.
I didn't like Trevor.
Yeah, well, yeah. He scored on you, didn't he?
No, he was not nice to me in the summers playing hockey.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So we don't like him, so
it's not Trevor Linden.
It's not Trevor.
Yeah, I think he was. I'm gonna keep that one too. I think he was. If he didn't deal with, how good would he have been if he didn't have injury problems? He
went 1 year in Florida and scored 60, and nobody on the team had more than 34 points.
He was ridiculous. He was ridiculous. Yeah, I think he was the best player in Canucks history.
You got the Sedins, you got Naslin. I mean, there's some other options there. Yeah, there's some good players.
I rolled on the streets of Kitsilano. There's a lot more options out there. You got the Steamer, Stan Smeo. You got Thomas Gradine. I was always partial to Ivan Boldarev, I don't even know who any of those guys are. Well, you're not as old.
I had Gradine hockey cards. So yeah,
I have them too.
You know what? Richard Brodeur, the year that they went to the finals, that was a big deal for me too. And he was a goalie. But you're right. I say keep it. Pavel was just so much fun to watch. He was doing stuff that no one had ever seen before. And
remember when he came down the wing, I think it was against the Bruins, and dropped it to his skate, then kicked it back up and slid it home? At full speed.
At full speed.
Are you kidding me?
You know what? That goal happened in preseason, and I remember I was still with the Oilers, and it was the worst thing ever because LaRock started trying it, and he fell and hit me into the corner when he did that, and the puck went in.
And he still scored on you. All right, Oscar Klefbom will be a 50-point D-man if he stays healthy this year. Keep it or clip it?
I'm gonna go keep it, and that's just not even. He's a good offensive defenseman, I think, but you got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
If you're healthy and you're on that point on that power play,
you're gonna get 50.
Gager.
So this is if he's healthy.
If he's healthy, yeah.
Yeah, there's a good keep it.
Be surprised if he doesn't.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
And that's a really good season. I mean, 50 points for D-man's a really good season, but if you're at the point and you're just going over this side to McDavid or this side to Draisaitl, you're in a pretty good spot. All right. Ooh, the television show Friends was a garbage TV show.
Keep it.
That was quick.
Really?
It's a terrible show.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, it's not my wife loves that show.
So
we have the
box
set.
How can you say you don't like it if
it's
you have the box
awful?
set?
Because my wife, did I not just, the preface to that was my wife has the box set.
Aren't you a marriage counselor? Isn't everything equal? No?
I'm trying to see what Cass is thinking right now.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I watched every episode. Have you seen every episode, Cass?
No, because they're she's tried to make me watch a bunch of them, and I'm just like, this is not funny.
I thought it was kind of funny.
It's like, this isn't funny. There'll be occasional moments in it, but
I thought it was overrated. At least
way overrated, and that probably more if it wasn't as popular as it was, and you asked me if it's a garbage TV show, and I'd be like, no, it's fine. But it's just because it's so popular that you ask me if it's a garbage, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's garbage.
Gage, I think you are all over it, though, aren't you?
Hold that humor in that show up against Seinfeld and tell me which show is a garbage show.
Different type of humor for sure.
It's bad, not funny humor versus something actually funny.
It was hot girls with dorky guys. That was every guy's dream to.
Oh, I'm Ross. I'm gonna go marry Rachel. Not marry Rachel. What's
we were on a break.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there were so many catchphrases from that.
So you liked it.
I
You're saying Lisa wasn't
I
garbage.
did like it. I have to agree with you, Cass, now that watching it back, it's not as funny as I thought it was. But wasn't it the lead? Wasn't it after Seinfeld?
No, it was on at the same time. It was a little bit after as well, but there was
I mean, when Seinfeld was on and then Friends came on right after, I think.
Oh, on television.
Yeah.
Right.
So the lead-in, I was already in stitches. So as you can tell by this podcast, once I start laughing, it doesn't stop.
All right, the Winnipeg Jets should trade for Mark Tessick. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it.
Don't think
Jets
so.
they
don't
Jets
need that much help. Like,
no, the Jets are done. They're Clutterbuck Hellebuck is terrible. He's awful.
I think you got to keep it. I've got all keep it's today. Keep it. If you have the chance and you can get them for a decent trade, I mean, they're going to try to stick it to you.
Because they know, but I mean, they're not playing him really.
They're not really playing. Canadian guy, you bring him up, like he could really shore up that blue line.
He's a right shot D.
Right shot D, good guy. Partial to him because he's local.
Yeah. He's a good guy. I mean,
good person. So I think it would go a long way to help them. They need something. So yeah, absolutely keep it.
I was browsing around the Nation network of sites today, and I think Canucks Army had an article about how they might have been tied to him a little bit as well. So I think he's going to get moved at some point, and I think Winnipeg could be a team that it might make some sense with. All right, the Ottawa Senators should tank hard. Keep it or clip it.
Aren't they already doing that?
Well, then why trade for Nemestikov? Like, what are you trying to like? That doesn't make any sense to me. Even if you're giving up what they gave up, which was not much, why are you bringing that guy in?
Just to try to show your fan base that you're engaged.
Really though, are people going to buy tickets because Nemestikov is in your lineup now?
Absolutely.
Isn't Bob Kraft's daughter going to buy the team?
Is that what they're working on now?
Yeah, I think so. That's what they said.
So, Cass, you think they are tanking already? And
look at the last year and a half. Yeah, no kidding, they're tanking.
Well, I just don't know why you go out and get Nemestikov.
Because for exactly what Gage said, you're trying to at least be like, we're not tanking. We care about the team.
But we are.
But we are.
What do they need for exposure for Seattle, though? Is there anyone that...
Well, he's a UFA at the end of the year anyway,
okay.
so that's... I mean, they're just bringing him in for a little bit. The Habs are better off with Weber than they were with Subban. Keep it or clip it?
Keep it. I don't...
You're just not a fan of Subban, or you just think Shea Weber, even at this stage, is a better...
How does a guy get traded to 3 different teams when it's a Norris Trophy winner and he just can't stay on a team? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think maybe he's... There's a lot to PK Subban, I think. Like, he's a lot to handle, and I just think sometimes it's a little bit too much. I couldn't tell you, but when a guy gets traded that much and he's supposed to be one of the top defensemen in the league, there's something else going on.
Like you're thinking with Nashville, they've got a bunch of good defensemen. If they really had to move one, then if Subban was that great, why would he be the odd man?
Yeah.
Does make a lot of money, though. Cass, where are you going with this one?
I'm going to go keep it, but for not completely different reasons, but for different reasons. So this is my take on it, and I think it was more to do with the makeup of the Montreal Canadiens than the individual talents between the two. Because if I look at the two and just age-wise, skill-wise, career potential-wise, I'm taking Subban. But the thing with PK Subban is with the personality like he has, and I think it's great that he has it, and I love that he has a personality and brings another element to the game that we can talk about it and the media can watch. I actually think that's great. However, inside a dressing room, you need to have what I call buffer guys. You need to have guys that can buffer between, because there's people that are going to react negatively to that inside a dressing room, and you need buffer guys that are going to be able to try to not mute the personality, but buffer it a little bit, and then mute the other side where it's just they act as a go-between and they can pull a room together. And Montreal did not have any of those guys. They did not. That's what Weber is. Montreal didn't have that. They had offensive players, they had some skilled players, but they did not have buffer guys. And so for the Habs, you needed to bring someone in that was going to be able to fill those shoes, and that's what Weber did. And I think they are better off as a team for that, because they really had a need for that type of personality in the dressing room. If I'm just picking 1-to-1, I'm taking Subban, but
But for the current
But
situation.
for the current situation, it was a better fit. So that's why I think they're better off.
Which is what the question was, right?
Yeah.
The Habs are better off with Weber than they are with Subban. All right, final one for Keep It or Clip It from Sport Clips Haircuts. Fruit by the foot was the best snack to have in your lunch as a kid.
I never had it.
Lunch or fruit by the foot?
No, both. I mean, again, I have to go back to Kitsilano. It was hippie food, man. It was couscous and
granola.
Oh gosh, I hate that stuff. I would die when I'd love to go over to my friend's place because he had like Oscar Mayer hot dogs and just plain like Costco. Like they went to Costco. I thought Costco was some mystical place that you could go and buy real shitty food.
Cass, what about you?
There's so many choices that this is tough. It's up there. Fruit by the
It'd
foot
be
is
right up there?
It's right up there. It's in the top 5. I
never loved
best,
it.
The best though. I got to clip it just because it's the best. It's like if it was one of the best,
Yeah.
I'd say absolutely. But I don't think it's the best. So I'm gonna clip it. That's the only one I clipped today. Kept everything.
I always liked getting the soft and chewy Chips Ahoy cookies mixed into lunch every once in a while. They're my favorite, so it was exciting for me.
I was always there. I always liked the chocolate puddings. Those were really good
Okay.
as a kid. Those were solid.
This might
Laura
surprise.
Secord. I remember those. Kids had those too.
Really?
Yeah.
The
And
worst.
you still had your couscous.
So what was the worst though? See, you know what? Well, I'll answer my own question. The worst, wagon wheels.
I agree.
Those were
Those were
terrible.
the worst. And my mom would get them in big boxes from Costco. And you'd get them and you'd be in your lunch and you'd just be like, what is this? No one's going to trade for this.
Yeah, you could never move a
those
wagon
are
wheel.
terrible.
That's how I knew I was never going to be a good GM. No one wanted my couscous.
Well, that's a good call on wagon wheels, man. Let's officially make it that wagon wheels suck. That's like a slogan for the
Yeah.
show. Maybe that's what we call today's
This is
episode.
Today's episode, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
who was this week's
Episode-
wagon wheel in the NHL?
The wagon wheel. Wagon wheel of the week.
The wagon wheel of the week.
Can't trade them.
Episode 8, wagon wheels suck. That's what we'll name the episode today because it's the truth. Are they even still out there? It's like Twinkies. Twinkies aren't even around anymore. Are they really?
Yeah.
They're probably out there.
Man,
There's
I would-
you know that there's one person at least that's listening that's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Like wagon wheels are the best.
No, that's the thing. I don't even think there is. I don't think there's one person who would be listening that is like,
There has to be. They're just gonna
Hernan,
be,
did you like wagon wheels?
They're not bad. I don't want to say they were
Hernan,
terrible.
shut your mic off. That's garbage. My God. We come to you looking for support and you give us a they're not terrible? That's garbage. Hey, you want to give a shout out to Carter Hart? He's your guy, Gager, and he had the shout out.
I'm really happy about that. Hopefully he keeps it rolling. That's cool.
he's
Local
a
boy.
stud. He's
Yeah.
a stud.
He was a stud. But you're saying when you played in junior, you watched him and
Yeah, no, I caught some Everett games on the TV a couple years ago, and he reminded me of just playing junior and going up against those really, really good goalies. He was awesome. So good for him.
outside of yourself, who was the best junior goalie that you ever seen?
Well, there's a lot of them, but like I said before, Chris Osgood was really, really, really good. Really good junior player. There was there's a local guy now. I think he's a cop in town. His name was Scott Bailey. He played in Spokane. He actually beat me up one time. Yeah. So Scott.
That's why he's a cop now, and you're
He's a
sitting here
cop,
doing a
yeah.
podcast wearing a tie.
Yeah. Suck it, Scott.
Cass, what about you? What about goalies in junior that?
Oh, Carey Price.
Oh yeah,
That
you
was-
play against.
yeah.
Carey
Oh
Price.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty
That
good.
must have been awful.
I scored. You know what? I had scored a lot.
You scored
on
him in the
him.
NHL.
I
And
know. No, it was always because he would come here, so we had the same agent, and so he'd be here in the summers training. So we'd train together. The house he was living at was a couple like 2 or 3 minutes from my parents' house, so we hung out. Like I'd drive him to workouts. Like we hung out in the summers, and I just always found a way where it's like I always scored on Carey. Oh, and so like even before that game when I had the 2, like because I always did my red line stretch, and he stretched the red line, and I laughed. I'm like Carey. I just kind of
coming
gave
for
like,
ya.
give him a nod, like I'm getting one, and I got 2, and then hit a post, and so I laughed at him afterwards. He hasn't talked to me since.
So, of all the goaltenders in your life that you had the number of somebody, it's
It
Carey
was Carey
Price.
Price. Yeah, pretty good one to have.
that's a great number to
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
was pretty
that's
good.
crazy.
I was handing out numbers like tickets.
Well,
you got my number. You got my number.
got one. You got one. I haven't met a guy that hasn't scored on me.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 8, Wagon Wheels Suck of 2
That's great.
guys
Love that.
and a goalie. That is a good handle. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll have a podcast at some point, maybe early next week. I think we'll make that work. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time. And enjoy the weekend in the National Hockey League as well. For Hernan Salas in the corner, and Matt Kassian, and Joaquin Gage wearing a tie. I still don't get it. I'm Dustin Nielsen. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to our sponsors from Odd Shark, the presenting sponsor, Popeye's Chicken, and Sport Clips Haircuts. Thank you very much for being on board here once again with episode 8.